Hi, everybody. We're in the green room. You may have a surprise guest, or maybe not. Anyways, I'm Ray, and I'm happy to be here with my amazing co-host, Vala Afshar, our great producer, Elle, and of course, our guest for today. But more importantly, we're going to introduce our guest, and as we always do, we do it in reverse order. And more importantly, it is a special guest. It's a return guest. So, Josephine, tell us a little bit what you're talking about today, and why are you back so soon?
Well, I wrote another book, not to put any pressure on you.
I know, we are so behind.
I know. My imposter syndrome kicks in when we have multi-authors come on our show. But thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for coming. It's great.
You're welcome.
But tell us more about, tell us the book. The book title is interesting, and then we'll jump into the show. So.
Yeah, the book title is 12 Tools for Managing a Selfish Leader.
So very, very, very important. So, all right. Well, with that, we're going to go back to Elle. We're going to do the count. And of course, you can tell I am live from Dubai. And it's kind of interesting back here. So if you see things flying, things flashing, just ignore. We'll be good. All right, cool. Let's do the count.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on DisrupTV. My name is Vala Afshar. I'm the Chief Evangelist at Salesforce and your co-host for the next hour. We welcome you to follow us on X at DisrupTV Show and send us your questions live. We'll do our best to answer them in the next hour. It's my pleasure to introduce my co-host, Ray Wang. He's the CEO and founder of Constellation Research. He's the best-selling author of Everybody Wants to Rule the World. He's working on another book, but he doesn't want to tell us about it. Maybe we can have some breaking news on our show. I see Ray on TV just about every other day. He's on Fox Business, Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg, CNBC. In my humble opinion, he's one of the top futurists to follow on X at RWA and G0. Welcome, Mr. Wang, to Disrupt TV.
Hey, thanks a lot. I'm here with Vala Afshar, the Chief Digital Evangelist for Salesforce. And he's also the author of multiple books, including Boundless, which I normally have a copy with me. It's a new mindset for an unlimited business success and a #1 seller on Amazon. And of course, executives around the world pay attention to every one of his inspirational and insightful tweets. When he's not hosting, keynoting, or leading events at Salesforce, you can find him on business outlets like Bloomberg and posting insightful analyses on ZDNet. But it's not about me. It's about our amazing guests, and we do have a repeat. Who do we have?
You don't travel, Ray, with great books with you wherever you go? I mean, when I travel, no matter where I go, I always carry great books with me. So I don't, I'm always constantly learning from the best and brightest in the world.
I love you guys.
Josefine Campbell, author of 12 Tools for Managing Selfish Leader. We've all have worked for selfish leaders, and this is how you can unlock authenticity for resilience. Josephine is the executive coach and founder of Campbell Co., a top leadership development consulting firm for multinational companies. As an author and executive coach, Josephine is an expert in leadership and collaboration in the modern work life, drawing on her academic expertise, 25 years of professional experience, and her martial arts background, which we'll talk about. Josephine is a serial entrepreneur and external lecturer at Copenhagen Business School and a 4-time Danish champion in jiu-jitsu. Ray, we've interviewed about 1,400 guests. I don't think we've had a champion martial artist on our show until now. Josefine is author of 2 books and numerous publications in international press. In June of 2023, Josefine was on our show with the launch of her previous best-selling book, Power Barometer: How to Manage Personal Energy for Business Success. Welcome back, Josefine, to Disrupt TV, and thank you and congratulations for writing another fantastic book.
Thank you so much, Vala. I'm very happy to be here again. It's always fun being at Disrupt TV.
Thank you.
Hey, we're really excited to have you. And more importantly, we should talk about the topic. What is a selfish leader? Let's start with that concept because, I mean, we hear all different types of leadership, but selfish leadership is unique, actually, but very pervasive. Tell us more about selfish leadership and why it's around.
Yeah, well, selfish leader is a leader who main focus is on own interest. And in too many cases, it also includes not having so much empathy. And with empathy, I don't mean the ability to figure people out, but the ability to actually empathize with other people's emotions to an extent that is not healthy. And the person might not have the ability to feel remorse. So like normal consciousness, feeling guilt if you do something bad, it's not so much part of the equation. And that can put people who work for a selfish leader into multiple bad situations that if you don't know how to manage it, little by little, it can eat you up from inside.
Wow.
That's
a great point. Yeah. So go ahead.
I'm going to just, because I'm so fascinated by people that achieve absolute greatness at what they do. And you're a 4-time champion, jiu-jitsu champion. For those of you who are not familiar with, unlike maybe other martial arts that focus on strikes and kicks, jiu-jitsu focuses on close contact grappling, holds and techniques, and the application of chokes and joint manipulation. So just to kind of a super high level, and we have a world expert here, so I don't mean to define jiu-jitsu. I should just ask the champion to define it. But I did look up core values because I wanted to know, like, how does a jiu-jitsu champion write such a beautiful book? And I found that core values of jiu-jitsu include humility, respect, discipline, perseverance, self-control, integrity, and pursuit of continuous learning, with a strong emphasis on using leverage and technique to overcome strength, allowing, this I thought was the key part, allowing smaller individuals to defend themselves against larger opponents. Think about a single contributor and a manager, with bigger influence, bigger authority, essentially promoting a mindset of personal growth, self-improvement through martial arts practice. So here's my question. We have a 4-time champion. Jiu-jitsu had to have influenced you in terms of the frameworks that you've designed to coach the executives of the biggest companies around the world. Tell us about these core principles and tell us how this smaller individual can position herself against larger entities and win when it comes to difficult situations like having a selfless leader that you have to report to.
Without a front snap punch.
Well, but I just love that you actually looked into the core values of jiu-jitsu because it's so spot on. That's where it origins from. When I started coaching executives, it quite quickly showed that the techniques and the wisdoms that I've learned practicing Japanese martial arts were very useful in many situations, because quite often it's you have somebody above you when you work in a large corporation. Even though you are an executive or any kind of leader, most likely there's someone above you. And so you will feel small regardless of your age and your seniority. You will feel small and under pressure. The core techniques, or the core, you asked for the values, right?
Yes.
Principles, values. Okay, so basically it's very much about having self-awareness. So you understand what happens inside yourself in a situation where you are under pressure. and in the same time having a sense of what happens around you. Not just using your eyes and ears, but using all of your senses to sense what is happening in the room. That's how you, as a martial artist, also can sense when someone is coming from behind, or when there are more than one person who's going to attack you, though only one is visible. So seeing it from that lens, the core principles or values are about sensitivity and self-awareness and focus. Not a narrow focus where you lose sight of what happens around you, but a focus where you are centered, where you are aligned within yourself, so that the core is strong. It's very, there's the Japanese saying about a bamboo, that you can bend the bamboo, but because it's flexible, it's not gonna break.
I like that. I love that. I have a follow-up question because some consider a limitation of jiu-jitsu is that it focuses on one-on-one combat. And in business, especially in larger multinational corporations, it's matrix management. So you may have multiple selfish leaders. So you're not just thinking about your direct manager, but maybe her manager or adjacent supervisory folks that are in your orbit. And also, many jiu-jitsu fighters are prone to injuries. The number one most common reason, based on my research, is people giving up jiu-jitsu before they reach blue belt level. And yet, I'm speaking to a champion. So you've been able to combat injuries, and you've been able to coach individuals in a setting where they can combat multiple entities and thrive and be successful. Can you talk to us about what it takes to not only be self-aware and have that situational awareness, but also to build those anticipatory muscles where you can potentially position yourself for success in more than just one scenario?
Yes. First of all, I just want to stress the fact that the way I was practicing jiu-jitsu, it would also be combating more than one person at the same time. So I never heard that jiu-jitsu should be only with one opponent. It could be that some practice it that way, but we didn't. And we also did a type of championships, which is called reaction track course, where you walk on a track. It takes 1 to 2 hours to walk the track. And you know that 10 to 12 times you will get attacked, but you don't know how many people is going to attack you.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good exercise. And there's a day track and there's a night track. And normally they would do it in a desert forest. Yeah.
Okay. First you write multiple books. Now you tell us about this. My imposter syndrome is totally kicking in. That's awesome. Ray, we got to stretch higher, you and I. Well,
I know.
Me, anyway, me.
No. We both got to stretch much higher. But hey, one of the parts
amazing.
that's really interesting about is when you have selfish leadership, it drains your energy. And you talk about this importance of energy management at work and how to utilize the power barometer. What's that power barometer and how do you flux around this?
Yeah, so the power barometer is a technique that I developed, taking what my sensei in jiu-jitsu taught me about managing my own personal energy and keeping self-awareness on my energy level. And then I adjusted it to modern work life. So basically, it's a check-in on your own personal energy level. And on my website, josephinecampbell.com, there's a free exercise. If you go to freebies, there's a guided exercise that will take you through the exercise so you can get it under your skin. And hopefully, once you've tried it a couple of times, you can do it by heart and have it with you for any kind of situation.
Definitely will check it out.
It's important to be very self-disciplined.
But how do you know when your energy is going down, at work, And how do you rebuild it, What are those processes there?
Okay, so if you're not self-aware, if you can't feel your body, so if you don't have body awareness, if you're completely cut off from your body, you will not know. That's going to make you vulnerable. So you need to stay connected to all of your body. Do you know the feeling of disconnecting from the body?
Never tried it.
No, right? So I think we're all prone to do that because that's how we are trained, right?
Yeah. No.
In school, at work, we are trained to disconnect from the body.
Mhm.
Or if something hurts, we're trained to disconnect from it. But in martial art, you connect to the pain, and once you're connected to the pain, you can feel it's just pain. It's not going to kill you. It's just pain. It's going to go away. But you also keep yourself in shape. In almost any sport, you would take care of yourself.
Sure.
Right? You make sure that you're hydrated, that you're well rested before a battle or any kind of a thing where you have to perform. And you would keep on, you get massage, you will train, you will make sure that you're connected to your body, which is your most important instrument. And the body and the brain is not two separate entities. They're actually connected. We have this. It's one. We are one. There's a lot of new research also showing that some of our brain, it might be in the stomach.
Yeah.
So it's key to have that body awareness and understanding, being connected to what does it feel like right now. And if you have the guts to be honest with yourself and say, okay, on a scale from 1 to 100, where 0 is empty and 100 is fully recharged,
Yep.
I might be on 40 now.
Wow.
And I will be honest and say, since it's past 8 p.m. and I get up 6 a.m. every morning and I'm super active and I've been working all day, I'm not on 100 right now. I'm more like 45, 40 maybe.
Okay.
So I will having that awareness, I will adjust my energy expenditure.
Sure.
And I would, I was thinking, okay, should I stand up today? Should I sit down? Oh, I'm going to sit down. Yeah. And
Ray and I love that our guests tell us after they do Disrupt TV that their energy level is 90 plus.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Seriously.
No.
This show is a fun show.
Yeah,
I've been looking forward to coming back because you guys have great energy. So we all know the feeling of working with people that gives us energy. And
we
you
get
like
that from
we
get that from our jiu-jitsu champion guests. So when I think about the arc of my career and where I excelled maybe the most, or was given additional responsibilities, where there were growth opportunities, it seems like often it was when I was working for a very difficult manager, leader. They had high expectations. They expected resilience. They almost anticipated you were going to fail because we had audacious goals. So none of the deadlines seemed reasonable. And yet, for whatever reason, I don't know, constraint breeds creativity. I'm not sure why. Most of my career I spent in private equity. And so you always had pressure. And so how do you distinguish between high ambition and selfishness? Or how do you make sure that the student doesn't allow blind spots to understand the motive of the leader, when the leader may appear to be selfish, but they're actually putting you on a path where you have to intentionally struggle in order to reach your full potential? Is there a way to know that they're well-intended even though they're draining my energy? Or are there certain markers where they're selfish and you need to be aware?
Not two people are the same, and it does take time to see the patterns. And depending on how good you are at reading other people and how experienced you are, it's going to take a little while to figure out what's going on here. But sometimes it can take years, actually, but at some point, you might gonna get to that conclusion.
I found that in at least one instance, as I was reflecting and going through your book, that it was definitely a selfish leader. And I'm not going to name them, of course, but they would reward, whether it was spot bonuses or they would find ways to reward you along the way where you forgave the fact that they were energy-sucking, selfish methodology. So I'm wondering, do some leaders just give themselves permission to be selfish because they, dangle a treat in front of you and it may work for some?
It's
Before
called
the person
manipulation.
realizes, manipulation.
They've been manipulating you.
Yeah.
That's part of the game.
Yeah.
For this kind of people.
Yeah, super hard to find. Early in your career, super hard to make that distinction. Definitely, everybody should read this book, no matter where they are in their career. But this is it is difficult. And you're like, if you're disconnected with your body, your mind, and your surroundings, you could find yourself spending years working for the wrong person.
It happens a lot. I mean, we see that everywhere. The question I have is, how does that? I mean, how can you actually put yourself out of that situation, right? I mean, and how can leaders help people find themselves, at work, right? Help their people be themselves more than anything else. Because, I mean, we're all trying to force people into a certain specific kind of approach, but a lot of folks don't. It's not a one-size-fits-all model now in terms of employee experience in the future of work. What can we do about that, Josefine?
Being authentic, being honest, what it's about. I actually really like that you say it's not a one-size-fits-all and it's not for everybody. And if you are open and aligning expectations about what it is that you are looking for and what you can offer and which kind of character it takes to work for, let's say, for example, a Constellation Research, it's honest. That's the first thing you got to do. The number one mistake that employers do is overselling a position.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know that because you own your own company. You know how expensive it is when you hire the wrong people. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think being very open about the values and principles. I love when companies have leadership principles, behavioral principles that will guide people's behavior, because then you know what it takes to succeed. You know what good looks like. And it might not, not every place is for you. Let's say, for example, IKEA, a Scandinavian company that I think most people know, they have a set of leadership principles that were created by the old founder, Ingvar Kamprad. And those principles are very much alive within the organization and the culture. People seriously live them. If you ever talked with somebody who worked at IKEA, you will also know that it's a very consensus-driven company, and a lot of Anglo-Saxons, a lot of British, and a lot of American people, they go crazy there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not for everybody, right? It's not for everybody, but they're very outspoken about what it's about. And I think that's honest, and that's authentic, and that's the way you can align with people.
In your book,
then again,
sorry, go ahead.
You said before, when you're young, it's very hard to see through these things, and I agree. I also had a couple of selfish leaders when I was very young, because I love people who are very intelligent. I love working for people who are very smart, and so that's what I was looking for, and I was not looking for their ethics or their empathy. I was looking for their brains, and I got wrong.
Right. It's. I'm sorry, I can't believe I'm making this martial arts analogy, but one of my favorite movies is Karate Kid.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, like, when Mr. Miyagi had him wax the cars and repair the deck and the house, the students must have thought, wow, what selfish reasons. He's having me clean the car and remodel his house. But all along, he was teaching them techniques. So you're right, you have to go through the process and understand someone's intentions and motivation, because at initial glance, it may be, this is just free labor, when in fact it was teaching the core principles of self-defense. And so, you have to be patient, and you have to have some hope, some benevolence that, but you can't, over a sustained amount of time. I mean, in chapter 11, you have a whole section about core values, top 3 core values, and you list examples of what are potentially core values. My question to you, and I've had coaches that in my career have told me you can't teach speed, so I'm wondering, can you teach someone who's selfish to be unselfish? And is it simply alignment of core values? Like when you're teaching executives at multinational organizations, and these are folks that have had great success and they're leading large companies, and they bring Josefine in because they want to improve their culture, they want to improve their net promoter score, they want to grow their revenue, they want to optimize expenses, whatever it may be. How difficult is it to, when you're in front of someone and you're like, oh my goodness, this person is super selfish. I've got my work cut out for me. Talk about the journey it takes to teach someone to become a better person, a better leader.
Yeah. First of all, it can only happen, or what can happen can only be what they want to happen. So they would have to have the ambition of, I want to be a better leader, or I want to be a better person for it to happen. And then things happen in their pace, and it can take time. You have to follow, as a coach, you have to follow the ambitions of the people you coach. I cannot have ambitions on their behalf. It's not my job. I have to support them on their ambitions. But I can mirror back information or insights. I can challenge them. But it should always be to support their ambitions.
I can imagine they're paying strict attention to knowing that you could kick their butt as well. No. I would be taking copious notes if my executive coach was a 4-time champion. So,
well, this is the interesting thing, right? Understanding that gap between what employee wants, what a leader wants, and where you're headed, right? That's actually kind of the challenge right now. And how do you create a better workplace in that kind of environment when you have a selfish leader? I mean, is there a way you just get rid of the selfish leader? Like if you have a selfish leader, do you just say, I quit? Or do people just keep coping with this, right? Because what you have here is a little bit more than a coping manual when we come back to say it, right? Yeah. So how should people take that book and put it to use?
Well, first of all, I want to say in many cases, the right thing is to quit. You gotta have a lot of resilience, and you gotta be in a good life situation where you have support. Let's say you're a single parent and you have 3 kids you have to look after, and you don't have so many friends, and don't do it. You have to be in a supportive environment, right? But Marie, who is the main character in the book, she has a very supportive environment, and she feels like, I have the strength and the energy to do this. She's broken in the beginning of the book. She's the first, we meet her just after she breaks down and she's crying. So it's not like she's super energized in that very moment, but she comes to the conclusion that she's not going to leave her job because she has a selfish boss. Again, this time she's going to learn how to deal with it. And even just today, I had a session with someone where I said, you got to make your mind whether it's something you want to deal with or not. But you're going to meet it again. And when we started having this conversation,
you're talking about
you
that
guys,
consistency, that predictability, that firmness of what you're saying.
Yeah, it's going to happen again, but you got to pick the time to learn how to deal with it at a time in your life where you have support and a good life situation where you can recharge yourself. When you have a weekend, you should be able to recharge your batteries, find joy and appreciation and recognition in other parts of your life than from your boss.
Yeah, you're not your job. I often say that you're not your job. So much of us assign self-identity in terms of, are we good people? Are we successful people based on the jobs we have? I'm going to put Ray on the spot because I like putting Ray on the spot. Ray, you're king of your kingdom. You're CEO. You don't report to anyone, although you apply servant leadership practice where all of your employees you treat as your boss, but you are the CEO, you're the founder, there's no one above you. Has anyone ever said to you that you need a leadership coach? Have you ever felt that the direction of the company was more of self-interest? Like, can you think about opportunities in your career where you had to pivot or you had to partner with someone like Josefine to adjust your leadership style, knowing for more than a decade or so you've been king. Like there's no one that you need to, oh, except at home. I know who the king is at home. I'm talking strictly work.
Well, I think the important part here is you're not having a boss or not having someone to tell you like what to do means that you have to double down, right? You have to be good at making sure everyone's taken care of. You have to be good at making sure that when you're in a scenario where if other people are creating those toxic environments, you have to go change it, right? You don't have a choice. Right? So I think that's the difference. I think people have said things to me that you need a leadership coach, but they usually have a different reason for that. I probably need one. I've never really asked for help, but what I can tell you is that scaling is hard, and you should probably check in on a leadership coach if you have one, because your needs are going to change again. And so you may change styles along the way. So your style shouldn't be fixed, but they should be consistent. And knowing what path to weave to get there, that's probably where we see leadership coaches like Josefine play a role, because like you're not just doing it one time, you're doing it in multiple points of time if you're doing it properly.
It's amazing to see the greatest athletes in the world have conditioning and strength coaches. They have technique coaches. These are the best at what they do in the world. And yet when it comes to the business world, so many of us cannot really point to a disciplined approach to improvement, meaning we don't have coaches and mentors and sponsors. Josefine, my final question, what do you hope is the one big takeaway from people that are going to read your amazing book? What do you hope that they walk away with as the big message that you want them to reflect upon?
Well, I wrote the book for the people who need some sparing help, guidance, advice, techniques, and tools, who find themselves in these difficult situations. And since there are 12 tools, there are a little bit for different type of people, but you can also use them together. There's not like one key message that I want people to walk away with. I'm not trying to say one thing. I'm just trying to help.
Yeah.
It's a book for help. So I hope it's going to help some people. And even if you're not in a super bad position, having a super selfish leader, learning something about how you can increase your resilience or live and work more authentically in a way where everything just becomes a little better, that could also be a good takeaway.
That's awesome.
A great book, especially as people returning back to the office. We're with Josefine Campbell, author of 12 Tools for Managing a Selfish Leader, Unlocking Authenticity for Resilience. It's really about digging deep down to figure out how you can cope, how you can overcome, and of course, avoid these bad leaders or selfish leaders that are in their place, and actually flip it around. But it is jujitsu. Maybe you can flip it around the other way. You can follow Josefine at X at Josefine Camp. And more importantly, thank you so much for being on the show, and have a great weekend. So
thank you, Josefine. Good to see you.
Thank
Congratulations on the book.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here again. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Our pleasure. What an awesome person. Just good karma, smart, accomplished, and devoting her work and career to advancing others. We need more Josefines in the world.
we do.
And Ray, thank you for the breaking news that you don't ask for help.
Oh no, I should be asking for help. That's the thing. So
yeah, same. For me, I don't like labels. Labels are for jars, not people. But I do label myself as an introvert. And I don't know. All of us could be more deliberate about finding people that are maybe more experienced, smarter, and more accomplished to help us remove our blind spots and become better people. Again, I remind myself, the greatest athletes on earth, Hall of Fame athletes, are constantly being coached daily in terms of how to improve their craft. And yet in the world of business, it's rare to find leaders who have professional coaching. You rely on a good boss, a good culture, a good company. You surround yourself with people who are smart and authentic and capable with the right level of benevolence, and you hope that your orbit can help shape your direction. But Josefine reminds us that it makes sense sometimes to find a pro, find a champion, and help guide you through the difficult journey of building a successful business like you have.
No, and I think it's really important because as people are returning back to work, they're encountering different types of experiences. That return to office is huge. Not return to work, but that return to office is huge and changing the way people operate. So when you add that dimension of seeing someone in person or working with someone in person, it really does change the interaction patterns a little bit. So, but hey, we've got a interesting set of shows coming up, Vala. What's going on? So,
well, your company is super busy, meaning that you've got some events that perhaps you want to talk to our audience that you're hosting the next 2 weeks. And for that reason, we're going to be on a hiatus for the next 2 weeks. So we don't have a show next week. And we don't have a show a week after that because of incredible events that you're hosting around the world. And I'll let you talk about that. But we're coming back March 14th. And boy, are we coming back with a bang. We have Lev Gornick, CIO over Arizona State University. He's one of the most incredible trailblazer CIOs that we know. We have Ellen McCarthy, CEO and founder of Trust in Media Cooperative. We have Dr. David Bray, Distinguished Fellow, Stimson Center and Business Executive at National Security, for National Security. And we have Sabina Nawaz, who's author of You're the Boss, Become the Manager You Want to Be and Others Need. So we have 4 incredible guests. All of them are big brains. But for the next 2 weeks, we're not going to have a show. And tell us what you're going to be doing the next 2 weeks, Ray.
Well, it's Monday, Tuesday, where you have our Ambient Experience Summit. And that is really where we've been talking about how AI is meeting employee experience and customer experience. And ambient experiences are AI powered. They typically handle in the background. They make nudges. These are things that transform experiences, level of friction, moments that matter, and get people excited. So that starts Monday and Tuesday. It's in Woodinville at the Willows Lodge. And of course, on the 6th, we actually have a special event, which is our AI Forum. And we've got together some of the top minds in AI, folks that are policy shapers, practitioners, and of course, those that are actually building out real AI projects. And so those 2 things are going on, and it's going to be very busy. So for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I attended the last one, which was at the Harvard Club in New York City, and it was the largest gathering of chief AI officers that I had the privilege of being a part of and learning from. So it's there's no better time now for practitioners who are actually implementing AI, predictive, generative, agentic, physical, whatever shape and form, to share, I say considered practice. I don't like to say best practice because it's too early, and often what's considered best practice today is changed tomorrow. But these are some of the best, smartest AI practitioners who are very generous sharing what they're doing. And lessons learned, failures, successes, so it's a fantastic event to be a part of. So looking forward to your typical long form blog summaries of the key findings. So
we'll leave it to Larry. So, but hey, it's yeah. But hey, thanks everybody. It's going to be very, very interesting, and we're definitely taking your suggestions for guests, as you know, and we'll be interviewing a lot more CEOs, a lot more startup folks, but more importantly, folks that are actually changing the world of AI, and of course, other new stack technologies, from quantum all the way out to blockchain. So thanks a lot, everybody.
If it's Friday, it's DisrupTV. See you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.